Be a $10,000 an hour person. What is your time worth? Is it worth for you to stand in line for 4 hours to save $40? Everything is opportunity cost, meaning that you should always ask yourself, what could you be doing with your time? And is the current expression of it in its highest value? Keep in mind what you're currently getting paid per hour and at least use that as the baseline to dictate your current worth. Perry Marshall, 80/20 Sales and Marketing. Dollars per hour chart works as follows. $10 per hour. Running errands, talking to unqualified prospects, and cold calling. $100 per hour. Solving a problem for a prospective or existing customer, talking to a qualified prospect, and writing an email to a prospect or customer. $1,000 per hour. Planning and prioritizing your day, negotiating with a qualified prospect, and building your sales funnel. And now, the real bread and butter, $10,000 an hour. Improving your unique selling point, creating new and better offers, and repositioning your message. Now, I know some will say, how esoteric and meaningless. But before we get to that, let's explain the extreme asymmetry within the dollar per hour amount that we all make and how wildly it can fluctuate with a very simple example. Take a cart pusher at your local grocery store. Most will say, oh, he's only worth like $10 an hour. Like, okay, maybe at best, he's like 20. All right, we'll give him 20 because he's a really great cart pusher. Okay, let's look at things from a worst case scenario point of view. What if he started slacking off hard, and let's say he was the only one there? Carts get left outside, carts get left in the middle of the parking lot, and disarray begins to set in. How are the customers going to react? Not too well. And with how easily triggered most people are nowadays, is there potential for them to be completely lost as far as to completely lose it? So let's say this goes on for a few hours, and most customers are mildly pissed off. A few go to another store, and one outright says that this is the last straw. He vows that he's never going to shop there again, and he starts telling all his friends to do likewise. Now, the immediate losses from the people that left were, let's say, $300 or $500. Now, the lifetime value of the customer that left forever, $10,000. And the negative word going around about the lack of care within the store, not just from this one customer, but from the other people that left, who a few will tell their friends, potentially even upwards of $50,000 or more. Point: butterfly effect and chaos theory is not just for tornadoes and black holes. It also applies to incredibly mundane things. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, let's look at someone like Bill Gates, someone who is worth $114 per second, meaning that it's actually not worth it for him to pick up a $100 bill. Let's say prime mid-90s Bill, and let's say he goes into his bathroom to take a dump. Now, technically he's earning money and his net worth hasn't changed, neither have skills or anything intrinsic about him. But how much is he worth to his company and how much is he worth to the world at this particular point where, let's say there's no way to get a hold of him. Maybe he even had a pager, he had a cell phone, but whatever, let's just say he left it in his office. What is he worth? So you see, even somebody like Bill Gates, mighty Bill Gates, somebody like him could technically be worth pennies on the hour if he were to spend his entire day on the shitter and there was just no way to get a hold of him. So how does one apply this knowledge to themselves? It comes down to an old adage: the more you learn, the more you earn. This is applying the butterfly effect in the opposite direction, in that the more you know, the better you will come across, not just in person, but in all of your other ventures. The only difference between the best and worst chess players is the perception of choice, as the exact same choice exists for both players. They both start from the same place, and the understanding of why, when the correct choice is made, it is this correct choice. The same lesson applies to life. If we are able to maximize our opportunities, the world truly is limitless. But if we don't sense them, how can we do just this? The more you know, the more you glow. This is the difference between the consumer and the creator mindset. Within every situation, every person you come across, there's a maximum amount of value that can be extracted for both parties. Everything is a bell curve. So whether it's getting on the right topic, one party recognizing the opportunity for collaboration, or someone asking the right question, the best way to maximize within every interaction is to improve one's knowledge. And while specialization always does help, the broader your knowledge field, the more you can connect with anyone, the more effectively you can communicate and connect with anyone, and everyone seeing as from a bare minimum standpoint you can at least begin to ask the right questions to extract the good bits that they know. Now, from a maximum standpoint, you'll come to realize that there's a certain amount of people that can help you a ton. And once you make that recognition, if you take the correct steps and you present yourself in a way that shows them you are worth this help, then you can tap into that. So ask yourself the following: what would make the biggest difference as far as your own knowledge goes? Business, psychology, entrepreneurship, cognitive biases, strategy, tactics, communication, leadership, learning how to learn, learning in general. For most, it would probably be communication, because if you can communicate effectively, then you can successfully maneuver throughout life. But perhaps for you, it's a more specialized field. Then use the following steps. Number one, go to Amazon and pull up that category. Look up the top 10 books in the last 10 years, or even going back further, let's say 3, 5, 10 years. Number two, read the reviews to get a good idea of the content. And some reviews will even provide you with very detailed analysis of what's actually in the book. Number three, YouTube and Google. So book title, whatever it is, XYZ, let's say, book summary, notes, or book review. So that way you'll be able to get a good idea of what's actually in the book, even better than the Amazon reviews. And number four, YouTube the author's name and find lectures by them. And also Google image search, either the book or book summary, book notes, or book review. And go through the images, as oftentimes you'll find a visual aid. And you may even find a great website filled with tons of relevant info as far as other reviews, other summaries, other notes on the topic that you're interested in. Ask yourself the following: who do you know or know of that you most want to emulate? Number two, what characteristics do they have and how do they acquire them? List out at least 3 characteristics or strengths and at least 3 things you think could be done to acquire them. Number 3, is there any way you could spend even more time with them and find out what material they read to get to their current level? And number 4, either offer to take them out, because spending time with them is easily a $10,000 an hour activity, or find a way that you could buy an hour or 2 of their time. Because even if you invest $200 or $300 for that, what's $200 to $300 for the potential upside of $10,000 per hour, or even just $1,000 per hour? Hell, even just $100 per hour of worth, meaning that if they give you one book that you get one great idea from, and then somehow you eventually use it to make $200 or $300 back, you're at least getting your money back. So number 5, ask them the following. After you've built rapport, after you've established a little bit of a connection, ask them the following: who do you know that I should know? This is the best question to ask anyone you admire. Money is not made saving. Let me say that again. Money is not made saving. The only reason a bank or financial advisor can give you a certain percentage back is because they're taking a cut on money that they're making, much greater money, meaning that you are taking on all the risk and only getting a paltry level of the return. Within every interaction, within every piece of content you consume, ask yourself, what is the scalability of this knowledge? What is the most that I can extract from this knowledge? So how should one go about investing their resources? To quote Warren Buffett, the most important investment you can make is in yourself. Very few people get anything like their potential horsepower translated into the actual horsepower of their output in life. Potential exceeds realization for most people. The best asset is your own self. You can become, to an enormous degree, the person you want to be. Generally speaking, investing in yourself is the best thing you can do. Anything that improves your own talents, nobody can tax it or take it away from you. They can run up huge dividends and the dollar can become worth far less. You can have all kinds of things happen. But if you've got talent yourself and you've maximized your talent, you've got a tremendous asset that can return tenfold. And how does Warren Buffett suggest you do that? To quote, I just sit in my office and read all day. You could hardly find a partnership in which 2 people settle on reading more hours of the day than in ours, says Charlie Munger. Eventually, finding and reading productive material became second nature, a habit. As he began his investing career, he would often read hitting 600, 750, even 1,000 pages per day. Combs discovered that Buffett's formula worked, giving him more knowledge that helped him with his primary job, seeking the truth about potential investments. And now I know some of you will say, yes, that was a different time and things have changed rapidly. Yes, they have. But you also have a much greater advantage that Warren Buffett did not have. He did not have the reviews. He did not have the recommendations. He could not sift through material as well. He could not sit on YouTube and get a good understanding of a lot of books. He could not access the amount of information that streamlines the book's knowledge. So you are actually at a competitive advantage in your start point relative to Warren Buffett. Keep that in mind. On the similar motif, my top 3 favorite quotes from Jim Rohn. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Work on yourself more than you do on your job. Learning is the beginning of wealth. Learning is the beginning of health. Learning is the beginning of spirituality. Searching and learning is where the miracle process all begins. Books are what you step on to take you to a higher self. The higher your stack of books, the higher the shelf you can reach. Want to reach higher? Stack more books under your feet. Reading is what brings us new knowledge. It opens new doors. It helps us understand mysteries. It lets us hear from successful people. Reading is what takes us down the road in our journey. Everything you need for a better future and success has already been written or said. Time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. Find whatever works for you, whether it's listening to audiobooks sped up, whether it's listening to book summaries sped up, whether it's listening to lectures online sped up, whether it's speed reading, whatever it is, find a way to maximize your learning and get to doing that learning. Bet on yourself and transcend mortal reality.